Hello, I'm Ben Wolfgang, National Security Correspondent here at Threat Status, and we are in the L3Harris offices in Arlington, just overlooking the Pentagon over my shoulder. I'm here with Jen Lewis, the President of Airborne Combat Systems at L3Harris, and Matthew Klunder, the VP of Navy and Marine Corps Accounts. And we're excited to be here to talk about the Red Wolf and the Green Wolf with L3Harris, a company that's pretty uniquely positioned both as a long-time trusted mainstay in the defense industry and also one that's very much on the cutting edge of 21st century capabilities, which is why we're here today. So Jen, Matthew, thanks so much for having us here. Can you explain what the Red Wolf and the Green Wolf are and what they can do?
Sure. We're really excited today to debut our family of launched effects, what we're calling our Wolfpack. Today you see in front of you both the Red Wolf and the Green Wolf. The Red Wolf is our kinetic variant, so its mission is long-range precision strike, and that is the Red Wolf. Green Wolf is an electronic warfare vehicle, so you can think about the missions there: electronic attack and ISR DILR missions: detect, identify, locate, report. You'll notice they look very similar. That is on purpose. It's a common design, very modular. There's a lot of different payloads that can go in this thing.
You know, I think we know in the globe, we can look out there, we see all the conflicts and wars, Ukraine, the Middle East, the Red Sea operations, even the tensions that are happening in Indo-PACOM. And what I think we've all seen is the value of affordable mass weapons and small drones. And really what we've done here at L3Harris with our Wolfpack of weapons and launched effects, we've taken that to a whole nother level. And at the end of the day, it becomes extremely asymmetrical and disruptive to our adversaries.
Yeah, well, let me ask you about that. How does it fit into sort of these broader philosophical, that we're hearing about right now in the Pentagon, this idea for, drone swarms, or Admiral Paparo, the Indo-PACOM commanders, talked about turning the Taiwan Strait into a hellscape filled with small drones. Where do these fit into those broader conversations?
Well, Ben, and I certainly know Admiral Paparo quite well, and I've listened to his, his objectives that he's looking to try and meet the adversary threat. And in this case, not only is it important to have precision strike that Jen talked about, that again our adversary has to deal with, or in this case, the Taiwan Strait or hellscape, but you want multiple layers of these kind of strike precision weapons. In this case, masses of them. And what I'm getting at as a former carrier pilot, as a former air wing commander, I can assure you, when you have amounts of weapons coming inbound to you, it creates unbelievable chaos. In other words, the command and control, just trying to understand how to defend against those weapons, becomes unbelievably hard. Yeah. And that's what we want to create for our adversaries.
Okay. So in theater, are they designed, the Red Wolf and the Green Wolf, are they designed to be used in tandem? Can they be used individually? Kind of walk us through how they would actually be used in those scenarios.
We see this as really being launched together, a variety of kinetic and non-kinetic. Think about other things that we can do here, like decoy, target tracking, comms relay. The vehicles do have software that supports the swarming of autonomous vehicles as well.
And let me just give an example, Jen, because Jen and I talk about this all the time, Ben. Just literally on the Super Cobra, we've already flown this off of. We are the only industry player right now that's done that off military platforms. In that platform alone, the Super Cobra, or sometimes referred to as the Viper, you can do a mixed bag of 4 kinetic, 4 non-kinetic. You could put 8 of those on one of those Super Cobra helicopters. And so Jen's point, think about what I just said. Now you have multiple platforms, helicopters, drones, fixed wing, unmanned, having 8 to 10 to 12 of these on the wings. It could create a lot of trouble for adversaries.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Can you expand on that a little bit, sort of where they can be launched from? I mean, these can be launched, air, sea, all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, Jen, go ahead and touch on it, Jen.
So one thing I do want to emphasize here is that, we're debuting this today, but we've been working on this for years with customers. So we've actually done over 40 flight tests. The pace with which we're doing them is increasing because the demand is growing. And we have ground launched them, right, and air launched them as well. Low altitude, high altitude, we've really tested this thing out in a variety of scenarios.
What's the range in these? How far can they go from where they're launched?
So we have tested over 200 nautical miles, which is a vast improvement over what's out there today.
Yeah.
And think of what Jen just said. Now we have really a missile, a weapon, a non-kinetic platform with significant range that our warfighters really need to stay out of the weapons engagement zones.
What's the learning curve on using these? How simple are they to figure out? I would imagine pretty simple.
The missile itself is unbelievably simple. We've, again, launched it from Super Cobra back in November of 2024. There's a lot of players out there, though, in the field.
Sure.
And so I want to kind of at least foot stomp with you, Ben, that it's not trivial, though, to integrate weapons onto military platforms. What I'm trying to offer is we've done that. Jen already alluded to, we've flown 41 times. So once it gets on the rails of a platform, a drone, an aircraft, a helicopter, a ship even, a ground launch, it is very easy to launch.
Yeah. So you kind of touched on this a little bit, but maybe we can kind of drill into this a little bit deeper. What's sort of the void, if you will, that this is going to fill? What capability can this bring to the table that we don't have or haven't had in the past?
Wow. Well, I'm going to touch on it real quick as a Navy guy. We know, and again, we are very proud of the missile systems that are out there in Navy today that are very operational. They're very effective. Guess what else, Ben? They're unbelievably expensive. And you can't shoot too many of them because you run out of them pretty quick. With this weapon system and these platforms we're providing, you can shoot, hundreds of them, and at the cost equating, right now we're literally 5 to 6 times cheaper than a lot of those operational missiles today.
Yeah.
With even the similar ranges and even better ranges in some cases.
Yeah. So I'm glad you said that, because that to me, when I was at the Soft Week conference a couple months ago rather, down in Tampa, Florida, and one of the things I heard from just about everybody is this idea of smaller, cheaper, attritable things like this. Is that kind of just where we are more broadly right now, that's where the mindset needs to be?
Absolutely is the answer to that question. I think, the only way that we're going to be able to bring that chaos and that affordable mass is really to think about lower cost. And it's not just the cost to build and, shoot one of these things. It's also the development, which is why having the modular common design that we're leveraging across all of the forces really makes that happen, right? So there's a cost share there, and really getting the efficiency out of the DoD spending.
You mentioned all the testing and the law that went into this before we got here today to actually see it. And I know maybe some of this is proprietary, you can't talk about it, but to the degree that you can, take us behind the curtain a little bit. What's that process like from sort of conception to today? So,
as I'm sure you can understand, we can't go into very specifics about the customer missions and where and when. We can tell you we've been all over the globe and different customers. But really, one of the examples, and the U.S. Marines did write about that, was the work that we did with them on their LRAM program, right, to get a long-range precision fire capability integrated onto that Viper Super Cobra. So that was a collaboration in a very agile fashion, happened over the course of several months, right? And then we had some fly-offs and test-offs. So our team is able to really pick up the phone when a customer says, hey, can we put a parachute on it? Can we get it back?
Yeah.
That process is months, not years, right? Weeks to a prototype, months to a test event. It's pretty quick.
And that's how it has to be today, right?
Well, Ben, when you think of affordable mass, drones, those have been around for a while. So I don't want us to think we haven't been thinking about it. And we've been working on these for a number of years. The difference is now we have these with significant range, which before, you can even look at lethal manned weapons that come off of platforms today. They're in the 10 nautical mile range. These are now over 200 nautical miles. It gives our warfighters a real edge.
Well, that's a good segue to close on this. What is the reaction, the response you've gotten so far from warfighters to this?
Well, I can just tell you yesterday, this weapon and these platforms were in the Pentagon. SecDef went by and his team and OSD saw this many, many times, had great conversations, very excited about it, had really positive feedback. And I know this is going to continue to be an opportunity not only for the Marine Corps, but all across DoD, multi-service, multi-mission, and eventually someday even our partner nations.
Thank you so much, Jen Lewis, Matthew Klunder, L3Harris. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Ben Wolfgang, National Security Correspondent here at Threat Status. Thanks so much to L3Harris for having us out here today to see the Green Wolf and the Red Wolf.